Okay, let's unpack this. We are about to dive into a story today that feels less like a standard biography of a musician and more like a movie script.
Oh, absolutely. A script that a studio executive would probably reject for being, too unrealistic.
Exactly. Too unrealistic. We are talking about a narrative arc that swings so wildly from the gritty, unglamorous reality of working as a trash collector in Laguna Beach
Right, hauling garbage.
to the absolute apex of pop culture celebrity, married into the Kardashian dynasty. It's a huge swing.
It is a trajectory that honestly defies logic. But what's so fascinating here, and what our source material really digs into, is that if you strip away all the headline,
The reality TV, the marriage.
all of it, if you strip it away, you are left with a musician of incredible, almost singular caliber. We're talking about Travis Barker.
We are. And we're looking at him through the lens of a pretty comprehensive biographical overview, right? It covers everything.
Everything. His discography, his surprisingly diverse business ventures, and the profound physical and mental trauma he has had to navigate.
Right. And the hook here isn't just he's the drummer for Blink-182. I mean, sure, that's the headline most people know. But the source material we have emphasizes a much more significant claim.
It does. Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah, Rolling Stone didn't just put him on some list. They straight up referred to him as punk's first superstar drummer.
And not just that. One of the 100 greatest drummers of all time, period.
That is a massive distinction. Usually, especially in punk rock, the drummer is the engine room essential, but, anonymous.
Completely. You know the singer, you know the guitarist. The drummer is just the guy in the back keeping the beat.
And maybe gets a 2-second solo if they're lucky.
Exactly. Barker flipped that dynamic entirely. He became the visual and rhythmic focal point of the band. He was the one you watched.
So that's the mission for this deep dive, right? To connect those dots.
That's it. We need to explore how a, quote, stoner kid from Fontana, California, managed to reinvent the sound of pop punk not just once, but for multiple generations.
And we have to get into the why behind his specific technique, and then later on, the unbelievable psychological resilience required to survive something that should have killed him, and then build an empire from the ashes.
It's an incredible story of survival on every level.
I am so ready for this.
Yeah.
Because when you really look at the timeline, that resilience is the through line. It's always there. We're talking about a guy who went from literally sleeping on couches
Unable to afford a meal.
to buying Cadillacs art collections. But I think to really get it, to understand why he plays the way he plays, we have to start at the very, very beginning.
You have to, because he didn't just wake up a rock star.
No.
Oh, and the foundation is actually surprisingly technical. It all starts in Fontana, California. He was born there in 1975.
Okay.
And the chem data point to understand his drumming, the thing that really differentiates him from 99% of other punk drummers, is the starting age. He received his first drum kit at age 4.
4 years old. I mean, think about that for a second. Most 4-year-olds are still learning not to eat glue or, how to tie their shoes. He's learning rhythm.
He was. And it wasn't just banging on pots and pans. By age 5, he was taking formal lessons.
Wow.
Yeah, with a teacher named Michael Mai. Now, this is a crucial detail in the biography. Michael Mai didn't just teach him to keep a simple 44 rock beat. He exposed young Travis to a massive diversity of styles.
Like what? What are we talking about here?
We're talking jazz, Latin rhythms, Afro-Cuban beats, and critically, military marches.
So right out of the gate, he's not just learning rock. He's getting a conservatory-style education before he's even in first grade. It's a completely different vocabulary.
Precisely. And that formal education continued right into high school at Fontana High. He wasn't just the kid in the garage band smoking cigarettes and learning Ramones songs.
He was doing that too,
Oh, for sure. But he was also in the jazz ensemble, and arguably, most importantly for his sound, he was in the marching band.
Okay, let's just stop there for a second. Marching band. Because when I think of Travis Barker, the tattoos from head to toe, the mohawk, shirtless, sweating, I do not think of a high school football halftime show.
No, you don't think of the plumes in the uniform.
Not at all. But the experts, the real drum nerds, they always point to this. So why? Why is the marching band background so critical to his specific sound?
It all comes down to the physics and the discipline of the instrument. If you want to really get into the mechanics of it, a marching snare drum is totally different from a rock snare.
How so?
It has a Kevlar head, like what they use in bulletproof vests, and it's tuned to an incredibly high tension. So the rebound, the bounce of the stick, is instant and powerful.
Okay.
To play it properly, you can't just flail.
No.
You have to learn what are called rudiments. These are the foundational patterns like paradiddles, flams, drags, and rolls.
Rudiments are like the scales of drumming, right?
Yeah.
The fundamental building blocks.
Exactly. And in a marching band, you're not playing alone. You have to play them with absolute military precision alongside 20 other drummers.
If you're a millisecond off, the whole thing sounds terrible.
It sounds like popcorn, a total mess. It requires immense wrist strength, finger control, and just this incredible snap. So when Barker eventually sat down at a rock kit, he wasn't playing with that loose, sloppy energy of a typical punk drummer.
He was applying that military-grade snap and speed to the drum set.
That's it. That's the key. It explains why his drumming sounds so articulate, so clear. He's not just hitting hard, he's hitting with mathematical precision, even at blistering speeds.
That makes so much sense. And then you throw the jazz on top of that.
Right, and the jazz ensemble experience teaches independence. Your left hand doing something completely different than your right foot, and it teaches improvisation. So before he ever played a single punk show, he had this incredibly sophisticated rhythmic toolkit that most of his peers just didn't possess.
But his childhood wasn't just about accumulating skills and practicing rudiments. There's a tragedy in the source material that really, I think, sets the emotional tone for his entire life.
It's a pivotal, just heartbreaking moment. His mother was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome, which is a very difficult autoimmune disease, just 3 months before he was set to start high school.
Oh, wow.
And she passed away the day before his freshman year began.
The day before high school starts.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that is such a vulnerable, terrifying time for any kid, let alone losing your primary support system right at that moment.
Yeah, trauma that just shapes a person's entire worldview. But it's her dying wish that really sets the course of his life. It's almost out of a movie.
What did she say?
She explicitly told him to keep playing music and to follow his dreams. It was one of the last things she said to him.
Wow. So it wasn't just a hobby anymore. Every time he hits that drum, it's not just for the paycheck or the fame. It's almost like he's fulfilling a promise.
I think that's a completely fair assessment. It gave him a drive that went way beyond just wanting to be cool or being in a band. It was a mission.
But even with that mission, that drive, the reality of life after high school was...
Well, it was brutal. Oh, it was. This is where we enter what the biography calls the hustle phase.
Yeah, let's talk about that reality. Because people see the private jets in the mansions later in the story, and they just assume it was an easy ride from day one.
Not even close. After graduation, he wasn't selling out arenas. He was literally hauling trash.
A full-on trash man.
He was working as a trash man in Laguna Beach, waking up before dawn, physically exhausting labor, hauling other people's garbage just to survive.
And what about his living situation?
Totally unstable. He was sleeping on a friend's couch, just grinding at both ends, manual labor by day, and then playing in punk clubs by night.
In what bands?
He was in a band called Snot and another Fontana-based band called Feeble. He was just trying to get reps in, trying to make a connection.
But it was that band, Feeble, that provided the connection he needed. That was the lucky break.
Right. In Feeble, he met a bassist named Chad Larson. And Chad Larson went on to co-found a ska punk group called the Aquabats in 1994.
The Aquabats. I love this part of the story. For those who don't know, the Aquabats are... well, there's something else.
They're unique. They're a whole experience. They wear matching superhero costumes, they fight imaginary monsters on stage, and they play this high-energy ska music.
It's so theatrical. But musically, ska is actually pretty demanding for a drummer, right?
Very demanding. It's fast. It's full of syncopated offbeat rhythms. So in 1996, the Aquabats needed a drummer. Their old one left.
And Chad Larson says, I know a guy.
Exactly. He brought in Barker. And originally it was just supposed to be a fill-in gig for a few days, maybe a week.
But then they heard him play.
And that was it. He was so good, so fast, so accurate that they immediately asked him to join the band officially.
And this is where he gets that amazing nickname, right? The Baron von Tito.
Yes, the Baron von Tito. And if you're wondering where that name came from, I have to disappoint you.
Oh, no.
The source material explicitly states that the reason is lost to history. None of the members can recall why they chose that specific title for him. It's just a fun, random piece of lore.
I kind of love that more, honestly. It's just a mystery. But the Aquabats were really just the stepping stone. Because in 1998, they go on tour with a band that is about to absolutely explode.
This is it. This is the aha moment, the pivot point of his whole career. The Aquabats were touring with Blink-182.
Now, at this point, Blink was already doing pretty well. They had released Dude Ranch.
They were on the map. But their drummer at the time, Scott Rayner, was on his way out. There was a lot of internal tension, a lot of fighting, largely due to reported drinking issues.
So Blink is in a serious bind. They're on tour. They need a drummer to fill in for a show, like right now. They look over at the opening act.
And they see the Baron, they see this kid just destroying the drums every night.
Well, they ask him to fill in.
They did. But here is the feat that I think defines Travis Barker's career more than any album sales figure, more than any VMA award.
Let's hear it.
He didn't have weeks to rehearse. He didn't have days. He didn't even have a full afternoon.
How much time did he have?
He had 45 minutes.
45 minutes to learn a 20-song set list.
20 songs! And he went out on stage and performed it flawlessly.
No, that shouldn't be possible. I play a little guitar, and learning 20 songs, all the stops, the starts, the tempo changes, the transitions, in 45 minutes is.
Yeah.
It's superhuman. How does a human brain even process that much information that quickly?
It speaks to what we mentioned earlier, his studio musician brain. He has this almost photographic memory for music, this ability to visualize arrangements instantly.
So he's not just memorizing boom bap boom bap.
No, he's internalizing the architecture of the song. He hears a track one time and he mentally maps it out. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, stop, outro. It's a cognitive skill, a form of high-speed pattern recognition that's just off the charts.
I can only imagine what Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge were thinking. They're on stage, they look back at the drum kit, probably expecting a total train wreck.
Right, expecting to have to carry him through the show.
And this guy who just learned the songs less than an hour ago is nailing every single hit, every single fill, perfectly.
Well, according to the records, they knew immediately. Adam Dybert from the Aquabats remembers watching from the side of the stage and just thinking, this is the new Blink. It was that obvious.
It was over.
It was over. Scott Rayner did come back for a short time after that, but the writing was on the wall. He was eventually fired, and Barker was permanently recruited.
And doesn't Mark and Tom admit that bringing Travis in actually forced them to become better musicians?
Oh, they said it outright. It had to. You can't have a drummer that tight, that precise, and be a sloppy guitarist or bassist. He raised the technical floor for the entire band.
And that elevation, that new level of professionalism, is what catapulted them into the absolute stratosphere with their next album.
Enema of the State,
Yeah.
1999. This is the explosion.
It's hard to overstate how big this album was. It was just everywhere.
It sold 15 million copies worldwide. 15 million, you had these monster singles like What's My Age Again, Adam's Song, and of course, All the Small Things.
All the Small Things hit number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. And that video where they famously parodied the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all the boy bands.
A legendary video.
It won a Moon Man at the VMAs. That video was inescapable. You couldn't turn on MTV without seeing it.
You couldn't. And just like that, Travis Barker goes from not being able to afford to feed himself to buying old Cadillacs and collecting art.
That's a lifestyle shift.
It's absolute. He bought a rehearsal studio. He opened a retail store in Riverside for his new clothing line, Famous Stars and Straps. Everything changed overnight.
But let's stick to the music for just a second more, because you mentioned his studio brain earlier. There's a quote in our source material from a producer named Dave Carlock that just, it blew my mind regarding this era.
Yes, the human drum machine quote.
Tell us about that.
Carlock described Barker as a human drum machine. He said Travis could sit down in the studio with just a click track. No music, no guitar, just the metronome ticking in his headphones. Have the entire arrangement of the song already mapped out in his head, and lay down the final perfect drum tracks in 5 to 10 minutes.
Wait, just to clarify for the listener. Usually you play the drums to the guitar and the bass, right?
Yeah.
You react to the band, you build the foundation with them.
Correct. Usually the drums are the reaction, they're part of the whole. But Barker was laying the foundation in perfect time before the house was even built. The band would then come in and play on top of his drum tracks as if he were a perfectly programmed drum machine.
That is absolutely insane. And that right there, that's why he's punk's first superstar drummer.
That's it, exactly. Punk rock, historically, is known for being a little loose, a little sloppy. It's about raw energy, not precision.
Right.
Barker brought this professional, almost mechanical tightness to the genre without ever losing that raw energy. He legitimized pop-punk as a musically proficient genre. He made it okay to be a good musician in a punk band.
But playing that fast and that hard every single night, I mean, it has to take a toll. You see videos of him, and he's not just tapping the drums, he's absolutely destroying them.
The physical toll was significant. The biography documents a lot of injuries. We have records of him breaking a finger during the 2000 tour and just taping it up and continuing.
Of course he did.
But the real testament to his resilience, and maybe just his sheer stubbornness, was the 2004 Australia tour. He broke his foot in Melbourne.
Ouch. And for a drummer, that's a career ender, even temporarily.
It's a huge deal, and it wasn't just a minor stress fracture. He tore tendons and ligaments. His doctor told him it was the type of injury people get in serious motorcycle accidents.
So that's it. Tour's over. Did he go home?
Not immediately. He played the next night in Sydney.
How? I'm sorry, how? You need your right foot for the kick drum. That's the heartbeat of the entire kit.
Well, since he couldn't use his right foot, he had the drum tech rearrange the kit on stage so he could play the kick drum with his left foot.
Wait, he just switched feet.
Yeah.
It's like a right-handed quarterback suddenly playing a game with his left hand because his shoulder hurts. It's a completely different set of muscle memory.
Essentially, yes. It shows a level of ambidexterity and coordination that is just incredibly rare. He just rewired his brain on the fly.
So did he finish the tour like that?
No, eventually the pain was just too much and they had to cancel the rest of the tour. But the fact that he even attempted it and pulled it off for a full show is legendary in the drumming community.
That is the absolute definition of the show must go on. But, you know, as big as Blink was, being in that one band wasn't enough for him. He seems like someone who gets bored really easily if he isn't constantly creating something new.
He does. He started breaking out of that punk box pretty early on, and this is where we see him transitioning from just a drummer to a full-on mogul and a genre bender. It really started with Boxcar Racer in 2002.
Which was the famous side project with Tom DeLonge.
Right. And interestingly, the whole project started because Tom wanted to experiment with some darker, more post-hardcore ideas, but didn't want to pay for a studio drummer.
So he just asked his buddy Travis.
He just asked Travis. What started as a little experiment in Tom's garage turned into a full band, a full album, and a tour.
Which, as the source material points out, actually caused a lot of drama within Blink, right?
Oh, it did. It caused significant tension with Mark Hoppus, the bass player for Blink, who felt completely excluded and blindsided. It was really the first major crack in the Blink-182 armor that eventually led to their hiatus a few years later.
But then he goes even further left field with the Transplants.
This was a collaboration with Tim Armstrong from the legendary punk band Rancid, and this project is really what cemented that superstar status outside of Blink.
Because the sound was so different.
So different. It was this incredible mix of punk, rap, rock, and electronic loops. It allowed Barker to really show off his deep hip-hop influences.
And he's always loved hip-hop, right? That goes all the way back to high school.
Since day one. And he started seriously integrating himself into that world. He wasn't just the punk guy anymore. He was doing official remixes for Puff Daddy.
The Bad Boy for Life remix, I remember that.
Yep. He did a remix for Soulja Boy's Crank That. He remixed Flo Rida's Low. He even remixed Rihanna's Umbrella.
I remember that Umbrella remix. It made the drums so much harder and more aggressive. It gave the song a completely different energy.
He became the go-to guy in the industry. If you were a pop or hip-hop artist and you wanted to add a hard-hitting rock edge to your track, you called Travis Barker.
And then he took that idea to the stage with TRV DJAM.
TRV DJAM, his project with the incredible DJAM Adam Goldstein.
They were really pioneers of that open format live mashup style.
Totally. DJAM would be on the turntable, spinning a mix of classic rock, hip-hop, 80s pop, and dance music, and Travis would be on a full drum kit, playing live drums over it, reacting to the mix in real time.
They performed at the VMAs. It was a huge deal. It really bridged the club world and the rock world in a way that hadn't really been done before.
It was groundbreaking. And while he's doing all of this music stuff, he's also quietly building these businesses on the side.
Right. You mentioned Famous Stars and Straps earlier. The clothing line.
He founded that way back in 1999. It started in a small shop in Riverside, California, actually got shut down by the city for permit issues, but then it just exploded online and in retail. It became a staple of this skater and punk look for a decade.
And he also started a record label.
LaSalle Records, established in 2004. And the name is a cool little detail. He named it after his favorite model of Cadillac.
I love that. And he even bought a taco franchise.
He did. At one point, he purchased a Wahoo's fish taco franchise in Norco, California. It's just so random.
From drums to tacos. It just goes to show he was thinking about diversification and building an empire from very early on.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there was the reality TV aspect of that empire. Meet the Barkers on MTV.
With his then-wife, Shanna Moakler.
It documented their very unconventional life, their wedding, which had a full Nightmare Before Christmas theme, and it really put his personality out there for the mainstream public in a new way. He wasn't just a musician anymore. He was a full-blown celebrity.
So life is good. He's rich, he's famous, he's respected in multiple genres, he has a family, multiple businesses. He's on top of the world.
He is, but then we get to 2008, and everything changes September 19th, 2008.
The crash.
The crash. And to really understand the weight of this, you have to understand the context. Travis had a lifelong, profound fear of flying.
Yeah, the source material says that as a teenager, he was sure he would die in a plane crash. Not that he was scared, but that he was sure it was how he was going to die. That is a heavy premonition to carry around.
It's almost eerie. There's that story about the album art for Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. The band members each had these little icons assigned to them. A jacket, pants, and an airplane.
And Travis literally begged them not to give him the airplane icon.
Begged them because of his phobia, but he got it anyway.
That just sends chills down my spine. So, okay, fast forward to September 2008. He's in Columbia, South Carolina.
He had just played a free show with Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction and Gavin DeGraw under that TRV DJAM banner. He was flying out on a private Learjet 60 just before midnight.
And who was with him on the plane?
DJAM was there, of course. There were 2 pilots. And then there were 2 essential members of his inner circle. Chris Baker, his personal assistant, and Chase Still, his security guard.
And there's a truly heartbreaking detail about Chase still being on that flight, isn't there?
There is. It's just devastating. She wasn't even supposed to be on that plane. Travis had originally invited his ex-wife, Shanna Moakler, but she declined because she had a weird, uneasy feeling about leaving their kids that night.
Wow.
So Travis had a vacant seat on the jet. He called up Che last minute and invited him to come along, just thinking he'd be good company for the flight.
Oh, man. The survivor's guilt from that alone must be unbearable. Just thinking, if I hadn't made that one phone call, he'd still be here.
It was a massive, massive factor in his PTSD later on. It haunted him for years.
So the plane is on the runway taking off. What happened?
As they're accelerating down the runway, the occupants hear a loud bang. It's one of the tires blowing out.
And at those speeds, a tire blowout is absolutely catastrophic.
It is. The pilots tried to abort the takeoff, but they were already going too fast. The plane overran the runway, smashed through the airport fence, shot across a 5-lane highway, crashed into an embankment, and just exploded into a fireball.
And somehow Travis and DJAM, they got out.
It's miraculous, but it's also horrific. Travis was covered in jet fuel. He remembers waking up, the plane is on fire, he opens an emergency door, but his hands catch fire. He slides down a wing that's on fire. He was running away from the wreckage, literally engulfed in flames, desperately stripping off his burning clothes. It was DJAM who finally managed to use his own shirt to put out the last of the fire on Travis's feet.
I can't even visualize that without just shuddering. And everyone else.
The 2 pilots died on impact. Chris Baker, his assistant, died. And she still died. Travis and DJAM were the only survivors.
The aftermath of that, I mean, physically, it must have been pure agony.
He spent 11 weeks in hospitals and burn centers. He had burns on over 65% of his body. He underwent 16 different surgeries,
18.
Countless blood transfusions, numerous painful skin grafts. At one point, there were serious discussions about amputating his foot because there simply wasn't enough healthy skin left on his body to harvest for the grafts.
And mentally. You're lying there in excruciating pain, and you know your friends are gone.
He was in a very, very dark place. The physical pain was so intense, and the survivor's guilt was so heavy that he was calling friends from his hospital bed and offering them $1 million to help him end his life. He just wanted the pain to stop.
That is just, it's so heavy. And so tragically, DJAM, who survived the crash with him, passed away less than a year later.
Acute intoxication, an overdose. It was a tragic coda to the whole accident, which meant that Travis was truly the last one standing from that flight.
How do you come back from that? How do you ever sit behind a drum kit again after looking death in the face like that?
You have to completely transform, and that's exactly what he did. He overhauled his entire lifestyle, top to bottom.
Yeah, this is when he went fully vegan, right?
He did. There was a brief period in the hospital where the doctors had him eating meat because he desperately needed the protein to help heal the burns, but as soon as he got out, he committed to veganism fully.
But the bigger change was sobriety.
That was the biggest one. And it's important to note, he had a problem with painkillers before the crash, didn't he?
He did. He's been very open about it. He struggled with an addiction to prescription painkillers even before the accident.
But after leaving the hospital, despite doctors telling him he would likely need powerful pain meds for the rest of his life due to the severity of his injuries and the nerve damage, he refused.
He got off everything.
Everything. He said the pain meds made me a completely different person. He chose to live with the physical pain rather than lose himself to the medication.
Talk about willpower.
Yeah.
To be in that much constant physical pain and still say no to the only thing that could relieve it because you want to be present, that is a level of strength I can't comprehend.
And it also, of course, completely changed how he traveled.
Right. No more flying.
For 13 years, from 2008 all the way to 2021, he did not step foot on an airplane.
So how did he tour? I mean, Blink-182 is an international band.
Tour buses for all U.S. tours, no matter how long the drive. And for Europe, he took the Queen Mary 2 boat, a transatlantic crossing that takes about a week each way.
Wow, he was committed.
He was committed to playing for his fans, but he was absolutely done with flying.
You know, they say that tragedy can bring people together, and it seems like the crash was actually the catalyst for Blink-182 finally getting back together.
It was, absolutely. The band had been on that indefinite hiatus since 2005. They weren't really talking. There's a lot of bad blood.
Especially between Tom and Mark.
Right. But after the crash, Mark and Tom both reached out to him in the hospital. It put everything in perspective. All the petty squabbles and arguments just didn't matter anymore.
Life is too short.
Exactly. And they announced their official reunion at the Grammy Awards in 2009.
So he's back with the band, he's sober, he's recovering physically and mentally. But he enters this completely new era. I call it the Renaissance. Because from 2011 onward, he just seems to go into creative overdrive.
He absolutely does. He released his first solo album, Give the Drummer Some, in 2011, and the feature list on that album is insane.
Who's on it?
Everyone from Lil Wayne and Rick Ross to Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Tom Morello. It was a showcase of his versatility.
And he didn't stop there.
Not even close. He did a full EP with the rapper Yellow Wolf called Psycho White. He did an EP with the underground rap group Suicide Boy called Live Fast, Die Whenever. He was just constantly in the studio, constantly working.
But the thing that really stands out to me in recent years, and what the source material really highlights, is how he became the architect of modern pop punk. He didn't just play the old hits. He helped create a whole new wave of the genre.
Absolutely. He became the genre's godfather. Think about Machine Gun Kelly.
Right. MGK was primarily a rapper.
He was. And Travis executive produced his 2020 album Tickets to My Downfall and his 2022 album Mainstream Sellout, and in doing so, effectively pivoted MGK into one of the biggest pop-punk superstars in the world.
He also signed Jextian, the TikTok star, to his new label, DTA Records, and he signed Avril Lavigne.
He did. He became the bridge. He connected the old guard of pop-punk, the Blink-182 Warped Tour era, with the new Gen Z wave that was discovering the genre on TikTok. He validated the entire revival.
If Travis Barker was drumming on your track, it wasn't just a throwback or nostalgia, it was credible.
He gave these new artists the stamp of approval from the king of the genre.
And then, of course, the personal life takes another wild turn. You can't talk about modern Travis Barker without talking about the Kardashians.
It was a headline domination. The rumors started swirling in late 2020, and by January 2021, it was confirmed that he was dating Kourtney Kardashian.
And this relationship, according to him, is what led to him finally conquering his biggest fear.
That's the most significant part of the relationship narrative, for sure. In August of 2021, with Kourtney by his side for support, he flew again.
After 13 years of buses and boats.
13 years. He got back on a plane to fly to Cabo. He credits her with giving him the strength and peace to finally do it.
That is love, man. Or just an incredible amount of trust.
It's probably both. And they got married in 2022. In typical fashion for them, they had multiple ceremonies.
Right, there was the Vegas one, the courthouse one.
A practice run in Las Vegas, an official one in Santa Barbara, and then a big religious ceremony in a castle in Portofino, Italy. And they welcomed a son together in 2023.
It's a happy ending, or rather a happy new chapter to a life that's had so many dark ones.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I want to highlight one more story from the source material that I think really shows who he is as a human being.
I know the one you mean. The story of Alex Etheridge.
It's such a deeply touching story. Tell everyone about Alex.
Alex was a 13-year-old musician from Phoenix who was battling a very aggressive form of bone cancer. He was a huge fan of Travis, a drummer himself.
And in June 2023, Travis met him backstage at a Blink concert.
He did, and he didn't just, say hi and sign a poster and take a picture. Sometimes those meet and greets can be very transactional.
Right, in and out in 30 seconds.
This wasn't that. They spent over an hour together. They sat down at a practice kit and played drums together. Travis treated him like a peer, like a fellow musician.
And he even FaceTimed Kourtney.
He did. He FaceTimed Kourtney so Alex could meet her. It was this incredibly genuine human connection. Alex passed away just a month after that meeting.
Wow.
But for Travis to take that much time to be that present, it just shows that underneath all the tattoos and the celebrity and the business empire, there is a very real, empathetic person who remembers what it's like to just be a kid who loves drums.
It really does. So let's try to wrap this incredible story up. We've gone from the marching band geek in Fontana to the trash man to the punk superstar to the plane crash survivor, and now to the Kardashian husband and music mogul.
It is a life of contradictions, isn't it? He's a jazz-trained punk drummer. He's a vegan who once owned a fish taco franchise.
A survivor of a fiery crash who voluntarily jumps back into the global limelight.
And a guy who, at the end of the day, despite having every reason to retire and just count his money, is still in the studio almost every single day creating.
That's the takeaway for me. I think the final enduring image of Travis Barker isn't the red carpet photos or the reality show. It's that kid back in 1998 learning 20 songs in 45 minutes because he simply had to play.
It's that drive. The music always, always comes first.
So here's the final thought. If you've never really listened to what he's doing on those records, go put on a track today. Maybe something from the Transplants like Diamonds and Guns, or even a Blink song like Adam's Song.
And just focus on the drums. Listen for that marching band precision. Listen for the ghost notes on the snare, the little notes he plays in between the main beats.
You'll hear it. The snap, the control, the power, it's all there. The whole story is in the rhythm.
It really is.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.